Welcome back. This is going to be the pulley and inclined plane measuring force with spring scales. I'm going to go ahead and show you the activity that we're going to be doing here in class.
So before I begin, I need to begin by adding weight to my load, which is the cup on the end of my string there. Now, what I'm doing here is I am using washers, which are industrial space separators, also a form of wedge, to add weight to my load, which we will be measuring with the spring scale. At this point, I am centering it on the ground, which is the distance we'll be measuring it from, and we're going to go ahead and pull up with our spring scale. But first and foremost, the first thing I need to do is measure how much force it takes to lift it off the ground without any help from any machine or any assistance. To do this, I lift it straight off the ground with my spring scale and I record the measurement, which is about 300 grams, or 3 newtons. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and reattach my cup, which has the weight, and the cup we'll refer to as the load. Reattach it to the pulley system here, and take a second to attach the spring scale and pull down to record the weight measurement. As you notice, our weight measurement does not change. It is still the same 300 grams. So the pulley has not really lessened our force quite too much at this point. So I'm going to try a different style of pulley. And in this pulley, this free pulley, the idea is that we are connecting our load directly to the pulley itself and the string to the pulley contraption, or the jig. After I connect my load to the pulley itself, we can see how, with the use of the spring scale, how we can measure and calculate our mechanical advantage, which we'll be talking about more in class. If you look closely at my pulley here, at this distance, I have only used 2 newtons, and it's measuring at 200 grams. That is because of the assistance from the pulley. Now at this point, we're going to try the third and final pulley configuration, which will be known as the block and tackle. The block and tackle pulley configuration uses 2 different pulleys, one holding the weight and one attached to the arm or the pulley jig. I will be attaching the spring scale to the rope or string coming off of the top pulley and recording the measurement at that point as well. So at this point, I am recording a measurement as I pull down on my pulley. I come down here to record the measurement and look closely at my spring scale, and you can see it's reading at about 1.5 newtons now, or about 150 grams, which is half the amount that we needed at the beginning to move this load.
Pulley, going to follow me this way, we have the inclined plane. So with the inclined plane, first and foremost, the same thing needs to happen. We need to measure how much force we are using to lift this bag. So as we lift this bag, we're lifting it from here, which is the desk, up to here. This is as high as we're going to go. If you feel like going higher in class, I encourage you to do so. We lift up, and it looks like we are lifting about 350 grams at about 3.5 or so newtons. Now go ahead and follow me this way. We're going to lift at the exact same height. But now we're going to measure, and for this you are going to need a string. The string makes it a wee bit easier to know whether you're using the spring scale correctly. If you're using the spring scale correctly, the string should be directly parallel to your inclined plane. So now let's go ahead and haul our load up this plane. And as we haul our load, we notice that we are going to be using much less force. It comes down from where we were at 300, all the way down to about 150. So we're lifting at the exact same height, and we're using much, much less force. So those are the 2 devices, the 2 machines, simple machines that we are going to use to measure force with spring scales. So when using spring scales, we can find out how much our mechanical advantage is for lifting the same amount of weight with less force because of the machine. With no machine, we find that we are using more force to lift the same weight and do the same amount of work. Because the work will come out the same. But the force is what's going to change, because we're lifting at the same height here and the same height here. So the force is what's going to change, and that's how we're going to determine our mechanical advantage, which we'll be discussing more so in class. If you liked the video, please hit like, and if you're one of my students, please hit subscribe for sure so you know what's going on, and we know what's coming up in the next lesson. Till then, we'll see you then. Peace.